Okay, so with the sinew, you're going to first cut about that much, and then you're going to divide it in two. Only two. When we start our basket, we actually don't need to do a knot. We're going to use pine needles. You know, this is a pine needle. It's very long, and there's 3. We're going to take the tip off. I just used my nail, which makes it all yucky, but that's okay. And it's still attached. So to start, we use 1, 2, 3, I don't know. It doesn't really matter as long as it's consistent. That, I have a good 4. I'll do one more. 5. All right, so I've actually put the needle on already. Give it about that much of a tail. With your sinew, okay, we're going to try to keep those flush. I'm laying it crossways on here a little bit. Pinch it tight. And now we're going to use this and wrap it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about 6? Hold it securely. With your needle, go through the middle of that. The pine needles have been soaking in hot water, so they are very pliable. They're not going to break. If you try using it right from when they're dry, they'll be brittle. Okay, so that's going to hold it, but now I'm going to fold this over. This is the trickiest part. I'm going to take my sinew, go around. Don't poke your finger. And when I pull it tight, I just want to kind of use my index finger and hold that sinew where I want it. Right there. See? Whoops. Don't let go because it will unbend on you. So now, still holding it tight, I'm actually going to pull the pine needles across the other side. Turn my, so that it was coming out the back. Right? And now I'm going to holding it tightly again. My needle, go through. Don't, oops, it's okay. Okay, let's try that again. This is why I often help when somebody is new to this, because this is the finickiest part. Don't poke your finger. Once we have this one in securely, everything will make more sense. All right, voila. The 2 hardest stitches. I'm still not going to let it go too much, and I'm going to keep folding it around. But I'm not always going to go right through the middle. It's going to start to build up, as you see on the other one. So I want to pinch it up here at the top. So again, through the middle. This is the 3rd stitch, and this will really now help to secure it. With my finger there. Looks messy, but it's not going to be. Oops. See? A little bit fussy. Nah. Okay. Okay. Good enough. I'm going to fuss with this a bit, push them in, and move my sinew around a bit, and it'll look great. Okay, so I continued adding from the middle there, around and around, coiling it. So now I'm out of sinew. So remember, I divided that in half. The knot that I find personally the easiest is just, I do a left over right, and then a right over left, called a square knot. And then when you tighten the knot, just try to bring it close down to the coil. Sometimes threading is the hardest part. So I already did thread the needle. So what I'm doing is I like the look of it splitting the sinew. So I'm going to go in split the sinew right there, just as I have been doing. And then when I pull it tight, I'm not going to really pull it too tight because I want the knot kind of sitting just on the top of the coil, because the next time I come around, it's going to cover it up. And then with these little these extra pieces, I'm actually not going to trim them short. How come I can only see one? Maybe the other one's already actually in there. Okay, good. So it will lay right in there. And again, split there. Once in a while, because it's like a spider web and it'll start to branch out too far, once in a while I'll put a stitch in between. I'll do it on this one just so you can see. And you can see I've got a lot of short ones. I always want to keep it the same. I've taken the tips off these pine needles. When I'm adding some, it's okay. If it's a group of 3, I just tuck it under. Sometimes these break apart. Look, there's the knot I added. I'm going to come around. I'll do one more. Now let's pretend. Oh, here's a single one. Sometimes they're one. No problem. I'm going to split the sinew on this one. And so if I was just adding one, that's okay. I'll use the pokey end, slip it in. And now I can pull tight. I didn't pull super tight on that one just because I didn't want the knot to come out, but I can pull tight again. And with these, sometimes we just space them. You want them to be as even as you can. But don't worry, it's okay if it's not. There we go. To be continued. All right. So back 2 stitches, I actually split it. So this is like loose right now. And I'm going to carry on with this one. This is going to become part of the handle, which is similar to the coil around it that I did earlier. But because I split it, I need to be careful to make sure I add almost every single time, like for a little bit, to get the same thickness, the diameter. Okay, there, see? This will make sense in a little bit. It's going to come across, be a pretty cute little handle. But before I do that, I'm just going to carry on this coil around. So do one more stitch. I'll add one more cluster. Add it in the bottom. It doesn't matter if the thing shows. It won't in the end. There. Good enough for now. Okay, so we carried on with that coil. We separated it just a bit ago. And you can see this is again a nice good thickness. So how do we get around that part? I just want to show you. So that works there. Nice and tight. But this piece is going to go in just a bit there. But I'm actually going to try to bypass it. I'm not going to pull this one super tight. See where, remember where it was lifted? I'm going to lift that up and out of the way. Remember, they're wet, the pine needles themselves, so it will be strong enough. Now, I could go over to that one, but before that, I actually want to go in between. I'll do one more. Now I'm going to pierce the sinew there. Maybe before I pull this one tight though, I'll add one more. There. I'll come back to this shortly. Done. Okay, so you can see that I'm coiling around, missing that little middle part altogether, and it's going to keep going. But I'm far enough away from that I thought, oh, okay, time for me to work on the handle. So just like when I ended, I put the sinew kind of through so you can't see it. I actually did the first couple stitches, just kind of holding it down. But now when I come up, with this one as well, I want to make sure, just to secure it, there's quite a few stitches right there close together. So on this very next one, why is that there? Okay. I want to make sure I add, because that's too thin. Might be easier just to add one at a time instead of the whole clump. Tuck it under. I'll add 2 on this one and then another one. So that's held down. This is going to be the handle because I want to be able to lift something up, but I'm going to do it maybe a little bit decoratively.